since I work tomorrow morning, and I work till 5 o'clock at night, I won't be able to do a preview video tomorrow. So here it is late tonight, or early in the morning, or afternoon if you're in Europe. So tomorrow, Calgary's in Detroit. So if the Flames are going to really make a push to catch up with the Kings, who fell back tonight, this is a good way to do it. Detroit is meandering. The likely starters are Mike Smith and Jimmy Howard, who are both playing well. Smith on and off. And again, Eddie Lack sits because they don't really trust Lack. Doesn't seem like they do anyways. And you have to wonder if this is going to wear down a 35-year-old Mike Smith by the All-Star break. That's the one thing that Calgary's going to have to worry about. But Jimmy Howard and Mike Smith are likely. And Detroit's record is 500, and they've been good. But I do favor Calgary in that game. The Rangers are in Chicago. So here we go. You have a team that got off to an awful start against a team that got off to a great start. And they've mirrored each other since. The Rangers have been really, really good, and Chicago's been really, really bad. And tomorrow night, it's confirmed that Lundqvist is starting. It's probably going to be Crawford for Chicago. I can't see them starting anybody else because Chicago needs some wins, and Crawford's the guy who can get them. But I don't know, man. I have a funny feeling that the Rangers' winning streak could go on for a while, and Chicago's losing streak, or at the very least, their mediocre streak could go on for a while. Crawford's hot start has kind of worn off. He's at a .932 save percentage now. He was in the 940s as recently as I think a week ago. On the other side of the ledger is Lundqvist, who's up to a .905, which is much better than the abysmal start that he had to the season. So there's that. It should be an interesting game, and I'll be home still when that game's on, so I'll be able to catch probably the third period of it. Boston's in Anaheim. So Boston doesn't have any confidence from me at all right now. It's likely going to be Rask against Gibson. I don't have any faith in the Bruins right now. The numbers being put up by Rask right now is 3-6-2. He's got a .901 save percentage. And every time I talk about Rask, Bruins fans tell me I'm wrong. Rask is really good, and I'm wrong. Rask is really good, and I'm wrong. But I'm not wrong. I'm not. Rask is just not the Tuukka Rask that he was, say, 5 years ago. And on the other end of the ledger is Gibson, who's had an iffy start, depending on who you ask. But he's still got a .917 save percentage, a 2.9 goals against, meaning he's facing a lot of shots. And the team in front of him has been hurt a lot. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about trading. A little bit about demand. So, TSN's got an article about how trade talk has picked up in the last week or 10 days. Now, we saw 2 trades in the last 48 hours. And apparently these teams are in the market for forwards, according to the graphic on TSN's page, and I will link to this in the description for this video. The Ducks, the Bruins, the Blue Jackets, the Oilers, the Flyers, the Canadiens, the Rangers, the Senators, the Blues, the Lightning, and a partridge in a pear tree. Basically, there's 10 teams in the market for forwards. And right away, my first thought looking at this is Vancouver's got a lot of forwards. They should be able to offer one up, and I think Vancouver would look for help on the blue line. But I don't know how many of those teams, Anaheim, Boston, Columbus, Edmonton, Florida, Montreal, New York Rangers, Ottawa, St. Louis, Tampa, have defense to trade out to get those forwards. Because if you need forward help, you're not going to trade forwards out to get it. So how many of those teams are in a position to trade away prospects and draft picks? Would Boston give up a Sinishin to get an immediate result back? And I don't think they would. But that's just an example. Would Columbus look at parting with Dubois if it got them back a decent draft pick and a prospect or a player who can play now? Like, how ready do Columbus feel that they are to contend for a Stanley Cup this year? So there's a lot of interesting teams there. Florida surprises me because here's the thing. Florida's record is abysmal. I get that they would be looking to pick up forwards, but I'm not sure that at this point no matter how optimistic Dale Talon might be, you're not going to trade out prospects. You're definitely not trading draft picks for a forward. So, can you trade defensemen? Not really. They don't really have those excessive defensemen that they can trade out. So I'm not sure. The thing with this is, just because a team's in the market for a forward doesn't mean they can get him. And then it said here, Anaheim, Montreal, and the Rangers have been looking for a center since the season began. And I remember last summer saying the Rangers need a center, and Rangers fans saying, oh, they'll get one. They'll find a center. People don't trade centers. If centers are traded, it's because there's something wrong with their game. They're perceived as busts, or they're just not wanted. Centers generally don't get traded if they're legitimate top 2 centers and they're performing well, because teams realize that those are gold unless they're overpriced. The Florida Panthers looking for a scoring winger really stepped up their efforts lately, and that's Bob McKenzie again. And then they say, you know, Tampa's looking to add, and they lead the league with 30 points. Now, it's scored every team except for the Maple Leafs, who've played one more game than Tampa. I don't know. I don't know that Tampa wants to add a forward. I get that Pierre LeBrun and Bob McKenzie are saying that they do, but again, Tampa's playing so well right now that you add a player, it can hurt your team. It can. It can change the chemistry. You can change the chemistry on that line, and since they're scoring so well, I personally can't see them trading anybody out. And I don't know what they'd be in the market for. Again, as a Canuck fan, the first thought that comes to mind to me is, well, if Sam Gagner doesn't look like he's working out as a Canuck, and to this point, the effort's there, but the results haven't been, Gagner may still have enough market value, especially at a decent cap hit, that maybe a Tampa looks at him. Or does Tampa look at that contract and say, well, there's a couple more years left, and we're going to have a cap problem later, so we can't bring him in. There's a lot of reasons why Tampa would be more in the market for a rental at the deadline and not really looking for a hockey trade right now. And then they talk about the Penguins and whether or not they're going to want a goalie. And they basically say they're okay with Jari as the backup, but they're looking for a goalie, so they're hedging. It's like, yeah, they're looking for a goalie, and they're not. Okay. Because there's goalies out there to be had. And then they talk about the World U17 Hockey Challenge that just concluded in Northern British Columbia. Scouts looking into the 2019 draft. And Jack Hughes is an early candidate to go first overall. He's 5'10"-ish, 165 pounds, and he's under 17, so he's going to grow. He's going to be over 6 feet tall. And he, 165 at 5'10", that's not bad. Now, for a 16-year-old, it isn't. So, we'll see. That's looking way ahead, though. That's part of the reason why I don't even do videos on this upcoming draft, because it's going to change a lot between now and June. I'd rather do a video where we talk about these prospects when there's a better idea of where everybody's going to fall. Otherwise, I'm just throwing names out there and just throwing something on the board and going random about it. And then the 31 general managers are getting together this Friday in Montreal to discuss the rule changes that they've made and discuss maybe new ones. So they're going to look at replays. They're going to look at the fact that there's so many disputed calls in games. They're going to look at the slashing, which apparently some guys are overjoyed at how it's being called. I don't think it's being called the same as it was to start the season, and I actually am willing to wager that by the end of the year we're going to be back to the same standard it was last year, which was, yeah, you cut a guy's finger off, but what are you going to do? So, and I'm obviously, that's hyperbole. That's, not exactly what happened. It was, the tip of Mathot's finger, not the entire finger. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, because as I said in the video yesterday, there are too many gray areas. There are too many situations that the NHL really can fix and needs to look at fixing. Get together, have owners and players get together and come up with real solutions so that during a game, there's not a whole bunch of stoppages and there's not a lot of calls that we go, wait, what? Like tonight, Vancouver got a penalty shot, and I don't understand why. Yes, there was a slash on a guy who had a breakaway, but he got the shot off. Quick made the toe save. The rule used to be, if you got the shot off, there was no penalty shot. you could call a penalty for slashing, not the penalty shot. And to me, as the coach of a team who's facing a penalty shot, I'd rather take the penalty shot than the penalty kill. Honestly. If I have faith in my goaltender, I'm like, you know what? Sure, penalty shot. Because then I don't have to worry about killing a penalty for 2 minutes. Yeah, give him the shot. Goalies will often save them. Good goalies should save them more often than not. And then, you know, there's not really a momentum shift off a penalty shot usually. Actually, I should look into that. That'd be a lot of work. Does a penalty shot goal change momentum? Does a penalty shot save change momentum? That's an interesting idea. All right. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about the games and the trade talks. I thought it was interesting that they focused on who's looking for offense. I guess if you did a poll on which teams are looking for defensive help, you'd have 31 teams saying, yeah, we'll take them. Actually, 30. And Vegas saying, we've got a couple guys we'd like to get rid of. And GM saying, no. No, we've explained to you, you don't have anybody that we want. And if we want them, you want too much for them. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.